Two brothers challenged the strongest fighter in the world and had no idea what he could do to them. The title of this movie is Kickboxer. Let's go! The famous kickboxer Eric Sloane is having a regular fight. His younger brother Kurt is watching him with interest. Eric easily defeats his opponent during the 4th round and knocks him out. The audience rejoices. Eric Sloane has once again proved that he is a true champion. Still, that's not enough for Eric. He wants to become the best kickboxer in the world and fight with the real masters. For this purpose, our boxer together with his brother travel to Thailand. After all, this is where kickboxing originated. The brothers like this country very much. There are lots of different attractions and also pretty girls. Yet, these guys never forget about training. Eric tests the power of his kicks with Kurt. Looks like the older brother is in great shape and ready to fight, and now it's time to face one of the strongest kickboxers in Thailand, a master named Tong Po. Before the fight, Eric asks his younger brother to bring him some ice. Kurt walks into the hallway and hears some strange noises. The guy gets closer and sees Tong Po training. This man is kicking a concrete column with his leg, and he's doing it so hard the plaster is falling off the ceiling. This boxer looks very menacing. Kurt goes back to his brother and begs him to call off the fight. Tong Po is a real madman, and he may cripple Eric, but the world champion doesn't allow his brother's advice. He is sure that he can easily defeat his opponent. So the fight begins. Tong Po immediately attacks Eric. Our boxer blocks some of his punches, but the Thai fighter knocks him down. Eric gets up and attacks his opponent, but Tong Po delivers a series of hard punches and knocks him down one more time. The first round ends. Eric tells Kurt that his opponent is using banned technique, but despite this, he is willing to continue the fight. At the beginning of the second round, Eric falls to the canvas once again, and Kurt throws in the towel. It signifies the end of the fight, but the mad Tong Po doesn't stop and delivers a powerful punch to Eric's back. Moreover, when Kurt tries to defend his brother, a furious Tong Po hits him too. After which, he tears Eric's championship belt. The audience is ecstatic. Sloane is carried out of the ring on a stretcher. Instead of taking the poor guy to a hospital, he and his brother are left outside the gates of the arena. Kurt does his best to bargain with the cab driver, but they speak a different language. A dark-skinned American who has also been watching the fight comes to the rescue. He loads Eric into the car and takes the brothers into the hospital. The man says his name is Winston Taylor and he is a retired military man. At the hospital, Eric undergoes a difficult and long surgery. The nurse advises the guy to sleep, but he is too worried about his brother. In the morning, the doctor finally leaves the operating room and delivers the bad news. Eric is paralyzed and will never be able to walk again. He has to spend 3 months in the hospital and only after that he will be able to return home. Kurt sobs and wants to avenge his brother, but Taylor refuses to help the guy, knowing that Tong Po will injure him in the ring too. The miserable Kurt is wandering through the streets of Bangkok. He notices a building where Thai martial arts training takes place. The guy asks the trainer to teach him this art so he can defeat Tong Po. Upon hearing the name, the trainer and all of his students laugh merrily. They consider Tong Po to be the strongest fighter in the world and a role model. Outside the gym, Kurt encounters Taylor again. It turns out that the man has changed his mind and is ready to help the guy avenge his brother. He knows a great teacher who can educate Kurt, but first, Taylor asks the guy to go to a bar and have a drink with him. Alcohol makes the man too talkative, and he reveals his secret to Kurt. While serving in Vietnam, he had a close friend who died during combat. Taylor tried to save him and now blames himself for his death. The next day, Taylor and Kurt find Xiancho's place. The American seems to be afraid of the trainer, so he immediately leaves. Kurt is looking for his teacher and ends up in a trap. Now he is hanging upside down on a rope. An old man comes out of the house. It's Master Xian. Kurt tells the teacher that he wants to improve his Thai boxing skills and avenge his brother. Xian frees the guy and gives him his first assignment. The protagonist must go to the nearest store and buy groceries. After all, it is inappropriate to make a decision on an empty stomach. Kurt goes to the nearest village, getting acquainted with the locals and entertaining the kids along the way. He finds a grocery store run by Xian's niece, a lovely girl named Miley. Upon learning the reason for his coming to Thailand, Miley gets frightened. The fact is that Tongpo is a strong fighter and a particularly evil man. Moreover, his boss Freddie Lee not only arranges fights for Tongpo, but also robs the local villagers. At that moment, several thugs approach Miley's grocery store. They are Freddie Lee's men, and they casually start robbing the poor girl's store. Miley doesn't resist, but Kurt decides to stand up for the defenseless girl. The main character beats up the bandits, and that's when we realize that this guy is also pretty good and experienced. Kurt throws the thugs out of the grocery store, but Miley doesn't appreciate it at all. First, her protector has wrecked the entire store, and second, she's going to get in trouble with Freddie Lee. The local old man is the only one who rejoices at Kurt's victory. The protagonist brings groceries to Xian, and the master agrees to train him. The morning begins with a jug of cold water, then meditation, training in correct movements, and proper breathing. It's crucial during combat. You have to exhale when striking and inhale when defending. But it's even better to learn how to do both at the same time. Further training gets tougher and tougher. Also, Kurt has to run away from a hungry dog. Soon, Miley comes to Xian and complains about Kurt messing up her grocery store. However, the master is pleased with his students' behavior and suggests that they all have lunch together. In the evening, Kurt walks the girl home. They share their life stories and realize that they like each other. The main character kisses Miley, and the embarrassed girl immediately drives away. Xian trains Kurt at a place called Stone City. Here, the guy learns various strikes. His goal is to become faster than his opponent. Kurt isn't flexible enough, so Xian uses a special mechanism to spread the guy's legs. It is extremely painful, but it's effective. The master also teaches the protagonist the art of fighting underwater, and then requires him to break a palm tree with a kick. Kurt has to hit it again and again, hurt his leg, feel terrible pain, but alas, the palm tree withstands all his strikes. Several days pass, and the main character finally succeeds. In the meantime, Tongpo is having another fight and is literally mashing his opponents all over the ring. Looks like he's never been defeated before. Kurt continues his exhausting training both on land and underwater, stretching his legs more and more, learning how to block different punches, and improving his speed, accuracy and stamina. Meanwhile, Eric is gradually recovering and uses a wheelchair to move around the hospital. Xian gives his student another challenge. He takes Kurt to the local bar and treats him to a strong alcoholic drink. After another shot, the master suggests Kurt to dance with the girls. The drunk guy willingly agrees. He performs a rousing disco dance, and the cunning Xian whispers something to the local man. Soon, a brawl breaks out, but despite the alcoholic intoxication, the protagonist defeats all his opponents. After which, he drinks one more shot and leaves the bar. Meanwhile, Xian asks the local elders to organize a fight for Kurt with the best fighters in the neighborhood. The first fight begins. Kurt faces a rather strong fighter from Freddie Lee's clan, and at first they fight as equals, but soon the protagonist knocks his opponent out. Despite the victory, Kurt continues his training. Before long, Eric moves in with him. The main character keeps training in the ruins of an old temple from dawn to dusk. After another training session, he encounters Miley, gives her flowers and kisses her one more time. Eric discourages Kurt from fighting Tongpo. He is worried about his brother and doesn't want to see him injured. At the same time, a messenger delivers Kurt's invitation for the fight. His opponent is Tongpo, and it will be a fierce fight without gloves. However, the protagonist doesn't intend to retreat. While training, he sees the spirits of ancient ancestors who fought on this land and hears their voices. In an attempt to demoralize Kurt, the thugs from Freddie Lee's gang kidnap Miley at night and bring her to Tongpo's house. The gangsters place their bets. They are sure that Kurt will lose. A crying Miley tells her uncle about what Tongpo did to her. The girl hides the truth from Kurt so as not to upset him before the fight. Also, the gangsters kidnap Eric and injure Xian's faithful dog. Preparations for the fight are in full swing. It will be held in a dungeon. A full box of broken glass is prepared for the fighters. The crowd cheers Tongpo. The fighters wrap their hands with ropes, coat them in sticky rubber, and dip them in the broken glass. Before the fight begins, Freddie Lee tells Kurt that he must lose in the last round, or his brother's life will be terminated. The first round begins. Kurt is fighting much worse than Tongpo. He is worried about his brother and can't concentrate. His fighting spirit is really low. Furthermore, Tongpo is constantly trying to cripple him. Xian realizes that his student needs help. He knows the location where Eric is being held. The old fighter skillfully deals with the guards and rams the gate with a car. Xian defeats his opponents one by one, but the rest of them point their shotguns at him. All of a sudden, someone opens fire, and it's not Freddie Lee's thugs, but Taylor, who decided to help Xian and Kurt. The men manage to defeat all their enemies and save Eric. Meanwhile, Kurt is losing in every round. Tongpo taunts, beats and teases him using forbidden strikes. Before each round, the TIE fighter shows the body part he is going to hit with. Tongpo hurts Kurt with broken glass on his fist and then mockingly boasts what he did to Miley. The final round begins, in which Kurt is obliged to lose. That's when the protagonist spots his rescued brother. Eric shouts his name and believes in his victory. At that point, Kurt asks Miley to cut his ropes. He wants to fight with uncovered fists. Kurt attacks Tongpo, and the TIE fighter becomes enraged. The protagonist blocks all the blows and accurately strikes back. Tongpo is getting more and more furious with each passing second, and completely loses control. All the punches reach their target, and the villain is about to collapse on the canvas. Freddie Lee wants to leave the arena, but Xian stops him. The other referee is trying to hit the gong and end the round, but Taylor takes the gong stick. Tongpo grabs a lit torch, but that doesn't help him either. Kurt hits him with another series of strikes and throws him out of the ring. Then Kurt jumps after him and immediately knocks him out. Freddie Lee gets up and falls to the ground as well. Kurt Sloane is the winner. He hugs his brother and Miley. The audience is ecstatic. Give this video a like if you find Jean-Claude Van Damme cool, and subscribe to the channel if you like good movies as we do. I'll see you later, friends.